Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about why being yourself matters, right? Now, you're probably thinking, well, I'm always myself, right? Which is great, but the reason why I'm talking about this is because sometimes we hide ourselves. We hide parts of ourselves because we're worried about what somebody else might think or say about them. For example, I like to scrapbook. It's fun. For me, it's one of my hobbies. I scrapbook, I read, I take pictures. I'm clearly an introvert. I also do activities with other people, but a lot of my hobbies are a little more solitary. I remember years ago, I was on a date with this guy. It was our first date, and we were getting to know each other, and he asked me what my hobbies were. And I mentioned some of them, and he immediately responds with, well, those are boring, which is obviously a judgment, right? And it's a refrain I've heard, not quite to that blatant of an extent, but I've heard this before from people, right? Because it's not their hobbies, so they kind of dismiss it. And I notice I stopped talking about my hobbies because of these kind of reactions. I mean, not with this guy. This guy didn't really care too much about. My hobbies are boring. And when I asked him what his hobbies were, well, he didn't have any, which I guess in his mind was more interesting than having hobbies, right? Judgment. But we internalize some of this stuff, some of the messages we get from other people. And then it's like, oh, these are boring, so I'm not going to talk about them. I'm not going to let people know what I like to do. I'm just going to dismiss them. I'm going to pretend that I don't do it quietly where nobody knows, right? Or we pretend and we have that oh, actually my hobbies are paddle boarding and clearly trying to think of things, and whitewater rafting. I mean, I've done those things once each, but maybe I pretend that those are my hobbies because those sound more exciting. But why would I want to do that? I wouldn't I want to be me. So that's what I mean about being more of ourselves. What are the things that bring us joy? Leaning into and engaging in more of that stuff. Because mindfulness, because everything comes back to mindfulness, mindfulness reminds us that we want to accept the reality of this moment, right? With an attitude of kindness, curiosity, and non-judgment. Well, if I'm judging myself for my activities, the things that make me me, I'm not accepting the reality, right? I'm taking who I am and I'm trying to change myself to fit into somebody else's idea of who I should be, beating myself up mentally in the process and making myself feel worse. So noticing when this happens, working with it so that I stop beating myself up and I can feel more me. Because that's easier. It's so much easier to be myself than to try to be somebody else, somebody who I think people want me to be. Being me is a lot easier. It's just natural. This is who I am. And I'm not trying to conform, to change, to hide. I'm just gonna be me. And so I scrapbook and I talk about it. I talk about my hobbies, my interests more. Other people don't have to agree with them, but this is who I am. It's also why I talk a bit about, my health stuff, why I record and film some of the stuff while I'm recovering from surgery, because this is the reality of this moment. I can't change it. I don't have to like it, but this is what it is. Maybe there are areas in your life where the things that you like to do or want to be, but you worry about other people's reactions. And now Obviously, there are some things that we want that are true to who we are that are bigger than hobbies or recovering from surgery, right? A lot of people can make allowances for the fact that I'm recovering from surgery, right? Well, that's okay. Well, that's fine that you do that, right? I was talking to a friend of mine. So I'm a psychotherapist who's also in therapy, and I'm like mentioned, like he knows that I'm in therapy, and he was very much well, of course, like well, that's fine for you because I've been hit by a bus, but like it's not okay for them to do these things, right? So noticing that like people make allowances for us when we're recovering and we're going through medical stuff that like, well, sure, of course you're taking it easy and you're resting, but I can never. I'm too busy. I've come across numerous articles of people, this one in particular, where the woman, the author of the article was saying how her friend had been hit by a car and needed to relax and to rest and was prioritizing their self-care. And so they were resting on the couch and watching more Netflix because they had a broken arm and leg. And that they had this moment of being jealous of the friend because of their self-care practice and almost wishing that they had been hit by a car to give them the excuse to do these things. And like I hear this kind of stuff often. Oh man, I wish I could take the time off. And so you can, right? It's learning and figuring out like how can I incorporate more of this into my life? How can I rest my body more? How can I do the things that my body needs? How can I do the things that I enjoy? How can I let go of other people's thoughts, resistance, their judgments and suffering, and just be like, it's okay that I do this. It's okay that I take a nap after work, because it is. It's okay that I take a day off, and maybe that's a Saturday if you can't take an actual day off of work, where I just focus on me. What do I need to do? How can I fill my cup up? Scrapbooking helps me to fill up my cup. Gives me an opportunity to do something quiet and restful that I enjoy. It's not overly stimulating. It's restful. What are other ways that we can incorporate some of this stuff? How can I rest? How can I, take care of me? These are questions that you can ask yourself. I mean, it doesn't have to be scrapbooking. Maybe you hate naps. Maybe you love naps, right? Like it's tuning in into noticing what feels true for you. What brings you joy? And self-care is a part of this, right? As I said, scrapbooking feels helpful for me. But other activities that I like to do, I like to take walks. I like to get outside. I like to spend time with my dog. I like to take pictures. Like these are things I like. There's some activities that stress me out that my friends love. One of my friends does snowshoeing in the winter. For her, that's, I won't say restful, but it's something that fills up her cup. She invites a group of friends and they go off and they do this. That would drain me and deplete a lot of my energy. So it's not something I would want to do. But it helps her, doesn't help me. I do different activities, right? But it's noticing and it's accepting like what works for this person is great. Like, great, I'm glad she does this. Just like she encourages me to do my activities, right? Noticing where these judgments are showing up and not attaching to them. I speak about this often. I talk about the two arrows. The second arrow is the optional thoughts, resistance, judgments, and how can we notice when that's happening and it's showing up? Whether somebody's telling us that your hobbies are boring, or it's like, you shouldn't take care of yourself. You should work X amount of hours in a day, and like you should put in more overtime, right? Noticing that and being like, well, I can leave some of this stuff out here. I don't have to internalize everything because we tend to do that. In my next video, I'll speak a bit more about how that shows up for us as our inner critic. But today I want to talk about how, like, if we accept who we are, we remove some of that judgment, and we make things easier for ourselves. And we want to do that because it helps with our mental health, with our self-care by being us. Taking care of ourselves, and by not, internalizing some of these judgments and, beating ourselves up mentally. This is a concept that will be kind of permeating all of my videos because it's all about learning how to get out of your head and into your life. That's what I do inside the mindfulness journey. This is how I help you. And so this is, one way, noticing like, I like this. So this helps me. I'm going to continue to do it. This doesn't serve me. So I'm going to see how I can let it go. Or if it's something I can't literally let go of, like my hours at work, how can I learn to tolerate it? This video I can't help you to do it all in one video. So as I said, it's over all the videos. If you watch every video I share, you'll learn more tips. And you can also sign up to work more with me, more in depth on how to do this, because I've only just touched the surface inside of this video. So you can sign up for my 7-day free challenge. The link will be in the description. It's 7 days, 7 practices. They're all short and sweet. You don't need much to do them, just need your breath and to follow the guidance. It's an email challenge, so you'll sign up, you'll get the emails, a daily prompt on how to do it. And that's one way to get started on this practice. And then you can, so that combined with some of these videos and some of my other programs will help you learn how to, as I said, get out of your head to get into your life. Until next time, take care and be well. Bye.